Incredible reunion. Homeless mom discovers her first love is funding the soup kitchen, a life-changing twist of fate. Sarah, once a vibrant mother with dreams full of laughter, now wandered the streets of Chicago, clutching a threadbare coat wrapped around her like a lifeline. The cold bit into her skin, a cruel reminder of her circumstances. Life had crumbled around her. One moment she was serving coffee with a smile at the local diner. The next she was checking her reflection in the glass, realizing how far she'd fallen. The pain in her chest would escalate every time she thought of her children, who had been taken by child services when she could no longer provide for them. But today, she had found a flicker of hope. The soup kitchen on the corner shone like a beacon, its doors always open, always welcoming. The aroma mingled with the cold air, a comforting embrace that reminded her she wasn't alone. She stepped inside, the warmth wrapping around her like a gentle hug. The sound of laughter and chatter filled the room, a stark contrast to Sarah's hollow heart. These folks' fellow patrons were all fighting their own battles, and there was something empowering in that shared struggle. As she stood in line, her heart raced at the thought of the meal ahead stew that smelled like home, even if it was borrowed. Unbeknownst to Sarah, the newly appointed director of this very kitchen was someone she hadn't seen in years. Daniel, her first love. He had traded a successful corporate life after serving in the military, seeking a purpose he thought he lost. He stood behind the counter, dishing out soup, his once boyish smile now laced with the gravitas of experience. Their eyes met across the bustling kitchen. Time froze. The familiar warmth of old dreams washed over Sarah, reigniting feelings buried deep beneath layers of shame and sorrow. Daniel's heart raced as he recognized the woman he once adored, a woman he'd lost touch with, yet had never truly forgotten. They navigated through conversations of teenage dreams, now shadowed by their current realities. Sarah spoke of her struggles, while Daniel shared his journey from wealth to service, his voice carrying the weight of compassion. Then came the moment of greatest impact. An influential corporate sponsor threatened to withdraw funding from a kitchen, their decision rooted in stereotypes about the people who sought help there. The injustice sparked a fire within Sarah. "This isn't just about us," she said, conviction pouring from her, her heart pounding with fierce determination. In that heated moment, she realized that she wasn't just a mother anymore. She was a voice for the voiceless. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you could drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Sarah organized a community event, determined to shine a spotlight on the real people who relied on the kitchen, their stories, their resilience. As she poured her heart into the preparations, the kitchen transformed into a hub of love and support, full of voices long silenced. Each story resonated, echoing in the walls that once felt damp with despair, now alive with hope. But the stakes were high. As the event approached, pressure mounted. Sarah could feel the weight of judgment pressing down, threatening to crush her promise to her community. Would they embrace the truth of their stories? Would love and strength triumph over stereotypes? In this swirling storm of emotion and fear, Sarah found herself standing at the edge of possibility, a moment where everything could change. The clash of her past and present ignited a question that remained unanswered. Could they truly challenge societal views together, bridging the gap between their worlds, and find redemption in the process? Sarah spent sleepless nights leading up to the community event. Her mind was a swirl of excitement and anxiety, each thought battling for dominance. She taped colorful flyers around the neighborhood, hoping to attract as many people as possible. Each pair of eyes that glanced at the flyers felt like another chance, a chance to share her story and the stories of those who shared similar struggles. As the day of the event arrived, The air buzzed with nervous energy. The soup kitchen had been transformed thanks to her relentless efforts. Banners hung proudly. Homemade crafts from local artists lined the tables, and the aroma of fresh bread filled the room, mingling with the savory scent of the stew. It felt bright and hopeful, yet tinged with uncertainty. "Do you think they'll come?" she asked Daniel, her voice barely above a whisper. He stood beside her, sleeves rolled up, hands busy with last-minute preparations. His look was supportive but serious, conveying a depth of understanding that only time could foster. "They will, Sarah. They need to hear those stories, just like you do," he replied, and she felt a warmth in his words. Reinforced by shared beliefs, they stood shoulder to shoulder against a world that often ignored the voices of the downtrodden. As the first guests began to shuffle in, her heart raced. She watched people, a mix of familiar faces and newcomers, enter the kitchen with apprehension and hope. Each smile she met felt like a spark lighting the way to a new understanding. There was Janet, who had been homeless for years but was earning her diploma from an online school, and Tom, a former shopkeeper whose store had closed after the pandemic. Their struggles mirrored her own, and suddenly, Sarah felt less alone. With a deep breath, she stepped up to the makeshift stage, a repurposed old crate. This was her moment. Clearing her throat, she called for attention. "Thank you all for coming," she started, her voice trembling. "I stand here not just as Sarah, the woman who lost everything, but as a mother, a friend, and a witness to countless untold stories." Faces turned, eyes locked onto her, and a hush fell over the room. In that silence, time expanded. She shared her journey, the pain of losing her children and the struggle of survival. Somehow, it didn't feel so heavy when she spoke about it. It felt liberating. Sharing brought a connection she hadn't anticipated. As she spoke, others gathered strength. One by one, faces illuminated with courage as people shared their own stories. Laughter mingled with tears as vulnerabilities transformed into moments of connection. Daniel watched in awe, pride swelling in his chest. Sarah was not just a mother in hardship. She was a leader igniting hope in others. The room filled with stories of resilience. Sarah's heart beat louder. But then, in the midst of laughter and shared pain, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Glancing at the screen, she froze. It was a message from the corporate sponsor, and her stomach knotted. It read that they planned to assess the situation further before any commitment to bring their own team to the event. Her arms began to tremble, the sparks of hope suddenly feeling fragile. What did this mean for the kitchen? Her eyes darted to Daniel. Would all their efforts be for nothing? As she regained her composure, the warmth of the community enveloped her again. She could feel the change happening right before her eyes. Would they all rally together and face this challenge as one? Or would fear win, silencing their newfound voices just as they had begun to be heard? Together, she whispered to herself, the words echoing in her heart. They had to be together. But just as the momentum grew, a shadow seemed to loom ahead. Would they rise to confront the impending threat, or would doubt unravel the tapestry of hope they had woven in that kitchen? The next move would decide everything. The atmosphere in the soup kitchen shimmered with an unexpected energy, as if the collective stories weaving through the air had braided a thin thread of connection among everyone present. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest, the weight of the corporate message still lingering at the back of her mind. She had to keep pushing forward. She would not let the air of hope deflate just yet. With a determined smile, she stepped down from the stage and mingled through the crowd. She heard laughter, felt the warmth of hands clasped together, and observed connections sparking like tiny fireworks. Faces lit up with anticipation as Sarah encouraged people to share more. "Who's next?" she called out, the warmth of her invitation wrapping around the gathered participants like a cozy blanket. Then it happened. A timid voice emerged from the back, holding everyone's attention. It belonged to Lucas, a young man known for his quiet demeanor and hidden brilliance. His story flowed out like a trickle of water, hesitant at first but soon surging with emotion. I was living on the streets. I thought I'd never find a way out. He paused, glancing at Sarah, gratitude and admiration evident in his eyes. But then I found this place. The room erupted in applause, and as others followed, sharing their own triumphs and struggles, Sarah felt herself swelling with pride. The walls of the soup kitchen that once felt like a cage now stood tall as a sanctuary. She was their shepherd, guiding them toward the healing ground where support was tangible. But the worried message tugged at her thoughts like an unwelcome guest. Sarah knew what she had to do. She needed to confront Daniel about it. He had invested so much of himself, his heart, his time into this, just as she had. "Hey, can we talk for a minute?" She whispered urgently, pulling him aside amid the bustle. His brow furrowed, concern rushing to his features. "Is everything okay?" he asked, scanning the room filled with joy and compassion. She fidgeted with her hands, fingers twisting around the edges of her sweater. "It's about the message I received. They want a team to evaluate us, and I'm scared of what that means for us. For all of this." Daniel's expression shifted, a mix of confusion and resolve. "We can't let that dim our light now, Sarah. This what we're doing, it's bigger than any sponsor. People need this. But what if they decide we're not worth it?" The fear slipped through her guarded thoughts. "What if they take everything away? Then we'll do what we have to do. We've got all these hearts together now, and that's worth more than any corporate backing." His voice was steady, infused with conviction. "We stand no matter what." As they turned to watch everyone sharing stories, Sarah felt a flicker of hope ignite again. It didn't matter what others thought. What mattered was what they were building here. She took a deep breath, grounding herself in that reality. Suddenly, the door swung open. A gust of wind rushed in, and the sound of hushed gasps cascaded across the room. A tall figure stepped inside, and Sarah squinted against the light. It was a man she recognized, someone from her past. Her heart raced, memories flooding in like a wave. Not just any man, but her first love, Ethan. He had returned, and as their eyes locked from across the room, everything around them faded into a blur. What did his presence mean? Was this a coincidence, or was fate pressing a hand on her shoulder again, urging her toward a path she had left behind? As murmurs rose around them, Sarah felt the weight of the moment settle against her chest, her heart caught in a delicate mixture of fear and exhilaration. Could he hold the key to their dream and the support they needed for the kitchen? Or would the echo of her past shatter what they had built? In that moment, as Ethan approached, Sarah stood at the edge of a new chapter, and she couldn't help but wonder what would unfold next. Ethan's presence felt surreal, like stepping into a familiar dream that had long faded. His confident stride matched the rhythm of her racing heart, and for a moment, the noise around them fell away. As he came closer, everything from their shared laughter to their whispered dreams bubbled up in her mind. Yet, there was uncertainty, an unspoken question that hung between them. "Sarah," he said softly, his voice wrapping around her like a warm embrace. "I didn't expect to find you here." She felt a rush of emotions surge through her: joy, fear, longing. "Ethan, it's been years." His eyes flickered over the bustling soup kitchen, registering its warmth, its hope, and the impact it had on so many lives. "I've heard about what you've been doing. It's amazing." Just then, Lucas approached them, his recent vulnerability still bright on his face. "Ethan," he extended a hand. "You know Sarah?" "Yeah, we go way back." Ethan took the handshake, looking genuinely pleased. "Sorry if I interrupted," Lucas continued, his excitement bubbling over. "Sarah just gave a great speech about hope and turning things around. It's been life-changing for all of us." Ethan nodded, intrigue painting his expression. "I see." As more people rallied around them, sharing quick stories and laughter, Sarah found herself wrestling with her feelings. Could this connection be a lifeline, or would bringing Ethan back into her life complicate everything? "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice low, seeking a private moment amidst the growing crowd. "Sure," Ethan replied, his eyes narrowing slightly with concern. "Is everything okay?" "I'm not sure," she admitted. "There's a lot going on." Daniel, and I were just talking about the evaluation we're facing from the sponsors, and now, with you here, his gaze softened, recognition of her struggle clear on his face. This place means a lot to you, doesn't it? It does, she said, a wave of pride punctuating her words. But it feels fragile. I'm scared of what could happen if we don't meet their expectations. Ethan's brow furrowed slightly. I understand, but you've built something special here. I can tell just by being around everyone. They need you. A distant smile flickered at the corners of her lips, but doubt lingered. And you? What are you doing here? I mean, you were in New York, right? Yeah. He hesitated, the memories flitting across his face. I came back after realizing I wanted to support things that matter. Your kitchen seemed like a good place to start. Her pulse quickened. Wait, what do you mean? I've been looking into how I can get involved. Get involved? Sarah echoed, her heart pounding. You mean funding? Ethan took a breath, then nodded. Yes. I want to help. I want to make a difference. She felt a mix of emotions twirl inside her. Here he was, the boy who played a part in some of her happiest moments. Now a man with the means to possibly change everything for the kitchen. But would he want to be part of her life too? Can you really do that? She breathed. I think I can, he said, sincerity ringing in his voice. But I think we need to talk further. There is something I must share, something important. Just then, Daniel reappeared, a lively group of regulars trailing behind him. Hey, what were you two plotting over here? He joked, a bright smile lighting up his face. Ethan exchanged glances with Sarah, both of them knowing they had much more to discuss. The weight of their shared past and uncertain future hung like an unbroken thread. Would this reunion put the kitchen at risk, or would it be the twist they needed? As laughter and stories surged around them, the excitement in the air was palpable. But with Ethan as promise and Daniel as unwavering belief, Sarah felt the solid foundation of hope beneath her feet. But just as she considered the possibilities, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, her heart dropping as she read the message. It was from the corporate sponsor, and it contained a chilling demand. How would she choose to respond? Sarah's heart sank. The message flashed ominously, each word cutting deeper. They wanted changes to the program, new guidelines that seemed impossible to meet within the tight deadline they had set. Panic gripped her as she scanned the text again, half hoping it would magically alter itself into an easier task. But it didn't. She could feel the warmth of the kitchen around her slipping away. The laughter of the regulars, the clattering of silverware, even the smell of rich soup began to fade. Everything felt like a fragile bubble on the verge of bursting. Suddenly, she felt trapped in a universe where hope was only a whisper. Sarah? Ethan's voice broke through her haze. His concern was palpable, pulling her back to the present. What's wrong? She looked at him, her mind racing. How could she burden him with this? It felt unfair, especially with all his positive energy about helping. It's nothing. A lie. But she didn't want to share the weight of her worry right now. Come on. He stepped closer, his voice low and gentle. You can't hide it from me. I know when something's bothering you. She hesitated. The world around them buzzed with laughter, but all she could hear was the thudding of her heart. It's just the sponsors. They sent a new set of demands. If we don't meet them, we could lose funding. Everything we've worked for is at risk, she admitted softly, the words weighing heavily on her tongue. Ethan's expression shifted from concern to determination. What do they want? They've outlined more requirements for our kitchen programs. We need to support more families, hit specific health guidelines, and they've given us barely a month. Her voice trembled as she spoke, the enormity of it all crashing down on her. Okay, Ethan said, his tone steady. Let us figure out together. Together? She stared at him, the knot in her stomach loosening slightly. What do you mean? I'm serious, Sarah. If I can help fund this place, I can definitely help with whatever they need. He looked around, nodding at the vibrant scene around them. This kitchen matters. It brings people together, gives them hope. And I can't just stand by and do nothing. His resolve sparked a new fire within her. You'd really do that? You'd stand by me? For you? Of course. Ethan took a step closer, their shoulders almost brushing. But let us make a plan. We can meet with your team and see what proposals we can put together. I have connections in places they can help. She blinked back tears. His willingness to dive in felt like a lifeline. You mean you'd invest in this? In us? Absolutely. But, Ethan added, his voice momentarily serious, I think we need to address what is going on with us first. Let us not ignore the elephant in the room. He was right. She couldn't keep pretending everything was fine, not when feelings old and new were at the surface. The past rushed back, filling her with warmth and nostalgia. But the future loomed ahead, uncertain and complex. Ethan, she started, but before she could voice her thoughts, Daniel appeared again, his arms wide. Hey, Sarah, we need your leadership in the kitchen. The team is counting on you. His enthusiasm pulled her thoughts away, scattering them like leaves in the wind. She forced a smile, grateful for his unwavering support, yet frustrated that the moment was slipping away. Ethan stepped back, his expression softening. I'll be right here when you're ready to talk. I promise. As he moved away, she felt a flicker of hope ignite again. But in her heart, the weight of her responsibilities mingled with the thrill of rekindled feelings. Could they really build something new together amidst all this chaos? Just then, her phone buzzed again. She glanced at the screen, her smile fading as she read the name of the sender. A call from the corporate office. What now? She whispered to herself, anxiety tightening its grip. Was this new partnership going to save everything, or would it all fall apart when she answered the call? The moment Sarah hesitated, staring at her phone, the whole kitchen seemed to hold its breath. Voices faded away, replaced by the pounding of her heart. She could feel the anticipation crackling in the air. Her fingers trembled as she glanced at the screen again, debating whether to pick up. What more could they want? Ethan had retreated to chat with some of the volunteers, leaving her to wrestle with swirling thoughts. The stakes felt unbearably high, the weight of their dreams hanging in the balance. Slowly, she pressed the call button, her stomach fluttering. Sarah, glad you picked up, came the clipped voice of her boss. Her heart sank. We need to talk about this recent proposal. It's critical we align on. As he prattled on, words became muffled echoes in her mind. Numbers and metrics floated around her like foreign objects. The overwhelming sense of urgency from corporate suffocated her hopes, smothering the flicker that Ethan had ignited. But deep down, she sensed a flicker of misunderstanding of what this kitchen truly meant. After a few agonizing minutes, she hung up, feeling drained. Was all this effort just paperwork and checklists to them? She cast an eye across the room, where laughter still permeated the air. Ethan's laughter. It warmed her. Hey, did you get the order sorted? Daniel called out, breaking her reverie. He had a lightness in his step, as if the heavy reality of work didn't weigh on him at all. Sort of, she replied, forcing a smile. But it's going to take some serious adjustments to keep the funding. Daniel nodded, the eternal optimist. We've always adapted. You've taught us that. Remember last year when we brought in the summer garden program? Everyone pitched in, and it changed everything. We can do it again. I know, but she sighed. This isn't just about adapting. It feels like we're running out of time, and now they want more. More families to feed, more stringent guidelines. It's overwhelming. Just then, Ethan approached, his eyes glimmering with the kind of hope that stirred something in her. What is the plan, team? He shared a knowing glance with her, prompting her heart to race. We can brainstorm ideas, pull together resources, and suddenly, she saw a way. What if we host a community event next month? We could bring in donations, showcase the kitchen, get those families involved, she suggested, excitement bubbling within her. Like an open house. Ethan brightened at her words. That's brilliant. We can leverage social media to get the word out. Everyone around here loves to pitch in for a good cause. We can have cooking demos, maybe even partner with a local band for some live music. He looked around as if envisioning it all, and Sarah couldn't help but smile back. And we can invite those corporate sponsors to come see what they be funding. Show them the heart of this kitchen. Yes, it's not just numbers, it's faces. Ethan exclaimed, the passion in his voice igniting the room. Sarah felt the momentum shift. Together, they could build something worthwhile, something beyond the confines of daunting demands. What she feared could tear them apart began to weave them closer together, igniting a shared vision. But just when she felt hope creeping back in, her phone buzzed again, this time with a text from the corporate office. She glanced down, her stomach tightening. Important meeting. Immediate action required. Her breath caught in her throat. Ethan noticed his smile fading. "What is it?" "I don't know, but doesn't tea sound good?" she admitted, dread pooling in her chest. When she looked into his eyes, she could read the uncertainty. Was it anxiety or fear of what was to come? She shook her head to clear it, wanting to push away the anxiety, threatening to creep back into her heart. Can they really fight through the looming storm, or was this the moment everything began to unravel? The clock was ticking, and it scared her to think of what lay ahead. But as they stood side by side, their purpose intertwined, she resolved to meet whatever came. Because for the first time, she felt hope didn't have to whisper, maybe it could shout. The weight of Sarah's phone felt heavy in her hand, like it contained the answers to all their struggles. She could feel a knot forming in her stomach. Ethan's worried expression mirrored her own fears. It was hard to push away the nagging thoughts that told her that this might be the end of everything they had worked for. Maybe it's just a routine check-in, Ethan suggested, trying to sound optimistic, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. Routine? She replied incredulously. They haven't done a check-in in months. It can't be good if they're suddenly asking for an immediate meeting. Let us not jump to conclusions, he said, although his eyes betrayed the worry underneath his hopeful facade. He took a step closer, their shoulders nearly brushing. How about we focus on the community event? That essay plan, right? The thought momentarily lifted her spirits. Yeah, it is, she admitted, forcing a smile as she tried to push back the icy grip of fear creeping in. The room was still buzzing with laughter and warmth, a stark contrast to her growing anxiety. She wanted to capture that spirit, to remind herself of all the families they had helped, all the connections they had made. "Daniel," she called out, her voice steadier than she felt. "Can you gather everyone? We need to start brainstorming ideas for this event. Once we tackle this, we can shift our focus back to whatever's happening at the corporate level." Daniel nodded enthusiastically, his positive energy infectious. "I'll rally the troops. Everyone will love this." Ethan kept his gaze on her. "You're amazing, you know that?" A flutter of warmth spread through her at his words. Typical Ethan, always seeing the best in everyone. "Thanks," she said softly, "but we're in this together." As Daniel ran off to gather the others, Ethan turned and placed a gentle hand on her back. "We'll figure this out. Together." The crew assembled quickly, curious and eager to contribute. Sarah could feel the energy shift as everyone tossed ideas around. Cooking challenges, a bake sale, maybe even a raffle. Every suggestion filled her with a little more hope. As the brainstorming continued, laughter broke out, diminishing the cold weight of uncertainty. But just as Sarah began to breathe easier, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was an email with a subject line that sent ice through her veins. Urgent. Funding concerns. "Guys, hold on," she said, raising her phone. Their excited chatter quieted as she opened the email with trembling fingers. The words fell sharp, like a knife cutting through the camaraderie they had built in the room. "Two sources of funding are under review," she read aloud, her voice faltering. "They're questioning our operational efficiency and community impact." A beat of silence felt like an eternity. "They can't take this away," Ethan said, his voice resolute but his brow furrowed. "They want to understand if we don't fight back. Show them. And if they still don't listen?" She whispered, the concern thick in the air. Deep down, she feared that whatever kindness the corporate office had once extended was slipping away. Suddenly, the door swung open, and an unexpected figure stepped inside. Sarah's breath caught. Her heart raced as she recognized the face she thought she would never see again. "Megan?" Her sister stood in the doorway, a mixture of hope and disbelief crossing her face. "Sarah, I heard about the kitchen. I need your help. And I do like to talk about Mom." The room hushed, all eyes on Megan. Everything shifted again. The past, the present, and the uncertainty of the future collided, leaving Sarah breathless. Could she really face her past now? What would this mean for both of them? In that charged moment, the stakes grew higher, and her resolve began to waver. What secrets would Megan bring? And could they truly make it through this weekend together? Sarah's heart raced, caught in the web of emotions that tangled around her sister's unexpected arrival. Megan stood there, just as she remembered, dressed in a faded jacket and carrying the weight of unspoken words. Every face in the room shifted in attention, expressing surprise, curiosity, and a hint of judgment. It was a lot for Sarah to take in, and the laughter from a moment ago felt like a ghost haunting the heavy air. "Megan," she said, her voice struggling to be a whisper. "What are you doing here?" "I came to help," Megan replied, her voice steady, though her eyes flickered with uncertainty. "I heard about the kitchen, about everything that's going on. I know I haven't been around, but I want to support you. I want to talk about Mom." That single word "Mom" echoed in Sarah's mind. It was the doorway to their shared past, a past fraught with arguments, hurt feelings, and memories that were often more painful than precious. Could they really dive into that now, when everything felt so fragile? Ethan stepped forward, concern stitched across his face. "Maybe this isn't the best time, no?" Sarah interrupted, taking a deep breath. She needed to face her past head-on. "I think now is exactly the right time." As she spoke, the room grew heavier with silence. The plans for their upcoming event, the looming threat of funding, concerns, they all faded momentarily into the background. It was just Sarah, her sister, and the burden of years apart. "Then let us talk," Sarah said, glancing around. "But first, this event. We need to make sure it goes off without a hitch." She turned to gather her thoughts and the attention back towards the crew in the room. Daniel, now fidgeting with excitement, piped up, "Megan, you should join us. We're brainstorming ideas for the community event. We can really use a fresh perspective." Sarah watched as the room's dynamic shifted again. Suddenly, laughter and chatter filled the air, pushing aside the weight of uncertainty. Megan stood built at the periphery, her expression a curious mixture of nostalgia and apprehension. Could she really belong in this world Sarah had built? As the brainstorming intensified, Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose. There was something life-giving in watching everyone work together. The energy pulsed around the room, blending affection and hope. But in a quiet moment, Sarah turned back to Megan. "Are you sure you want to talk about Mom? It might be tough." "I know," Megan said softly, her gaze steady. "But you deserve to know the truth." Sarah's chest tightened. The emotional tumult bubbled beneath the surface. "And what truth is that?" She pressed gently, her curiosity overshadowed by fear. Megan hesitated, her fingers knotted together. "That essay story for later. Right now, I want to help you with this soup kitchen. I want to be part of something good, to finally do something right." The sincerity in her voice swept over Sarah like cool water, washing away some of the past's bitterness. An unexpected bond began to form, the flicker of shared family warmth rejoining them, if only by a thread. Still, as the evening wore on, the undertones of the looming corporate meeting loomed large. Amid joyous brainstorming, the shadows of what was to come couldn't be ignored. Together, Sarah whispered, her heart yearning for connection. "We'll face whatever comes, won't we?" "We will," Megan assured her, a flicker of determination lighting her eyes. But just as Sarah began to feel the warmth of that connection, her phone buzzed again. The screen lit up with another urgent message from corporate, and her stomach twisted. Ethan caught her eye, sensing the shift. "What is it, Sarah?" The uncertainty in his voice echoed her own feelings. "I don't know," she admitted, holding her breath as she opened the email, the familiar weight of dread pressing down once more. Would the corporate office have a clearer understanding of their work? Or were they destined to repeat the same mistakes of the past, risking everything once again? The room fell silent as Sarah read the email, her heart hammering in her chest. The next decision they faced could alter everything. What was the truth that could change their lives again? Sarah's fingers shook as she read the words on her screen. The email from the corporate office felt like a jolt to her system. The subject line, "A loan urgent financial review required," sent a fresh wave of anxiety crashing over her. She scanned the message, her mind racing. Funding is under review due to unexpected expenses and allegations of mismanagement. Each sentence hit like a needle, puncturing the fragile hope that had just begun to flourish. The silence in the room weighed heavily, waiting for her response. Everyone's eyes were glued to her, their anticipation palpable. Sarah felt the weight of their gaze, a mixture of support and concern drawing her deeper. "Megan," she finally breathed, her voice barely audible. "They're questioning everything we've done here." She gestured vaguely, encompassing the entire space, the kitchen, the volunteers, the community they had built. Megan stepped forward, her brows furrowing. "What does that mean for us?" Sarah swallowed hard. "It means they might pull funding for the soup kitchen, and we can't let that happen." She could hear muffled whispers and feel the tension amplify around the room. Ethan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, grounding her momentarily in the chaos. "We can fight this, Sarah. We have to convince them of the good we're doing. All the lives we're impacting." "Fighting is one thing," Sarah replied, dread creeping into her voice. "But if the funds are really in jeopardy, we need a solid plan. And time isn't on our side." There was a stirring among the group, some already beginning to brainstorm solutions. Daniel spoke up, excitement igniting his features. "What if we set up a community fundraiser? We could showcase the soup kitchen and share our stories with the city. People will see the value of what we do." "Yes." Megan joined in, her eyes lighting up. There was something unmistakably hopeful in her enthusiasm. "We can gather testimonies, showcase the families we've helped. We need to make it personal." Sarah could feel that stirring in her chest again, the flicker of that connection. "Okay, let us do it," she said, her voice growing stronger. "If we can mobilize quickly, we have a chance." Yet beneath the hopeful veneer, a flicker of doubt remained. Could they really turn this around? Was there enough time to gather support before the review meeting? "Let us split up roles. We need volunteers to reach out to the community," she directed, her adrenaline surging. As ideas rolled out, Sarah felt herself becoming part of something bigger than the daunting weight of her mother's absence or the scars of the past. This was her chance to reclaim a piece of her shattered meaning. Megan was here. They were working together. Just as she began to feel the warmth of shared purpose, her phone buzzed again. She glanced at the screen, a familiar number flashing a reminder of the past she wasn't sure she was ready to confront. Her heart pounded as she picked up the call. "Sarah," the voice cut through the air, sending a shiver down her spine. "It's time to talk about your mother." The room felt like it was spinning. Suddenly, the past was crashing back, demanding attention just as she was trying to build a future. "Do you know where she is?" The voice on the other end hesitated. "Yes, and I think it's urgent, you know." Sarah's heart raced, torn between the urgency of the call and the delicate plans unfolding in the room around her. How would she balance the truth about her mother and the fight to save everything she had built? Sarah's heart raced as she heard the voice on the phone, each word sending ripples of urgency through her. It was a mess of emotions, fear of the past, colliding with the hope growing in the soup kitchen. "Urgent? What do you mean?" she pressed, trying to swallow the knot forming in her throat. The overwhelming responsibility felt so heavy, and yet, standing amidst the warmth of the kitchen, something began to stir inside her, a strength she hadn't felt in a long time. "Your mother, she's been looking for you, and I have some information that might change everything." The word struck Sarah hard. Her mother? The woman who had packed their lives into chaos, leaving doubts and scars in her wake? But there was no time to wallow in memories. She felt Daniel's supportive presence behind her, ready to lead the charge. "Sarah, what is happening?" He caught her worried glance, concern etched in his face. She shook her head, forcing a smile through the confusion. "It's about Mom. There's an opportunity for us to make a bigger impact here." But she knew deep down this was going to unravel more than just kitchen plans. It could either bind them closer or tear them apart. Mom? Megan asked, stepping closer, her eyes wide, recognizing the weight of the conversation. Before Sarah could respond, Ethan, decisive as ever, stepped forward. We can face whatever comes, right? It'll take all of us to really make this kitchen not just a space for food, but a haven for healing. And if part of that healing includes confronting the past, then let us embrace it. She felt her chest tighten with both dread and gratitude. Could she actually do this? Confront the fissures of her family and still keep the kitchen alive? The fear seemed to dissipate as she looked around at the faces staring back at her, each a testament to shared struggle and unexpected fortitude. All right, Sarah said, her voice steady and resolute, echoing through the kitchen. We're going to have a community fundraiser, a chance to show what we're really about. We'll share stories, invite the community, and yes, I'll face my mother's past as well. If we're fighting for this kitchen, we're fighting for all of us. As she spoke, clarity washed over her. This was a fight worth taking. She could rise above the pain that had held her down for so long and inspire others to do the same. Let us push forward together, she said, looking deeply into each set of eyes, commanding the room to rally around hope. Megan nodded, the light of determination flickering in her own eyes. And if Mom's part of that, then we'll figure it out. Together. Amidst the whir of energy and excitement building in the room, Daniel and the others clapped in agreement. Ethan leaned closer, a proud smile breaking on his face. That's the spirit. We'll show them that community isn't just a catchphrase. It's our lifeblood. Suddenly, it felt electric. All the pressures, the looming presence of the corporate office, they faded into the background as they began to brainstorm. Lists of participants, entertainers, ways to rally people around their cause filled the air like symphonies of hope, drowning out the past as shadows. As the laughter and chatter of solutions ignited, Sarah glanced at the door. A fresh wind blew through as her phone buzzed once more, the screen illuminating with another message, the meeting request from the corporate office. Let us take it one step at a time, she thought, a renewed conviction swelling in her chest. This kitchen was alive, vibrant with the pulse of community. Success or failure, they would face it together, barrel through all the challenges, and weave a tapestry replete with their stories, dreams, and second chances. Each moment became a choice of courage. And in this pivotal moment, as she was surrounded by support and conviction, Sarah felt she could confidently embrace whatever would come next. The ultimate unveiling of her mother could wait. Now is the time to focus on building hope, community, and strength. As the evening wore on, they began pulling together ideas and assignments, the kitchen buzzing with a renewed sense of purpose. Sarah caught a glimpse of Ethan, his eyes radiant with pride. She realized then that whether fate held her mother in the wings or not, she had already begun to forge a new family amidst the laughter and love surrounding her. In that very moment, she understood the true essence of community. They were rising together stronger and ready to carve out their rightful place in the world. And that, more than anything, felt like a victory as the last bit of dusk glimmered through the windows. The warmth of possibility filled every corner of the kitchen, transforming fear into an emblem of hope. Now was the time for action, and she was ready. Don't wait, not even one more second to join this journey. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories and updates. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support this ongoing fight for hope. Please comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring transformation. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this uplifting story. This is the moment to show your support.